Hey guys, Sandy here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am scrapbooking this photo of my feet in front of the small fire pit that we have outside. The large fire pit is over here because you need two fire pits. Today I'm going to be scrapbooking with this stencil from Brutus Monroe, and I'm also going to be scrapbooking with the Slimline Rainbow collection. I have an idea. It came to me when I was thinking about using scraps, and as you guys know, I don't keep scraps because they stress me out. But I figure these are small enough. These are small enough to be called scraps. So let's see what I can do. Guys, you guessed it, I'm scrapbooking rainbows again. Now, I just love scrapbooking rainbows. It just makes me happy. I love rainbow color schemes in my albums. I love it on my pages. I just think it's beautiful. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this stencil. Now this is the stencil of the month, and I'm using the Velveteen Glazes. If you haven't gotten your hands on some Velveteen Glazes, you need to. So they are a great mixed media medium that you can apply with a palette knife, or like I am with your finger. And when they dry almost like a hard flock. And you might be like, what the heck, Sandy? Flock is fuzzy and soft, but Velveteen Glazes dry like a hard flock. Now I am just using my finger to push the glaze throughout the stencil, and I have my Velveteen Glazes in basically a rainbow order. I do add a couple colors that are not really in the rainbow, but that's okay. It's rainbow-esque. So I go ahead and get those going. Now, basically after this part of the stencil, I stopped, went and ate dinner, and came back. That way the stencil could mostly dry. Not the stencil, the stenciled area could mostly dry. And it did. It was still a little bit damp, so I just put my stencil right over top of the damp Velveteen Glaze. Now, if you did not want your stencil to kind of touch your Velveteen Glaze, because it did give it a little bit of a different texture, then you would want to let that completely dry, but I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. So I just use that highly technical tool of my finger one more time, and I am going to overlap the green a little bit onto the yellow, just because my other colors have overlapped ever so slightly. And then I'm just going to continue to do that. And I have to tell you guys, playing with mixed media is one of my favorite things to do. I just love it. I love making the mess. I love unlocking my inner slob and just having a grand old time. And doing this with my fingers just adds a whole other completely fun level to it. I think sometimes we worry so much about, am I using the perfect tool to put on the perfect amount of mixed media? And just go for it. Just have fun and go for it. And I adore the way that this stenciling came out. So when you do use your finger to push your mixed media through a stencil, you're not going to get super awesome crisp images. You're not going to get a super detailed and crisp stamp through your stencil. It's not really a stamp, but you're not going to get it crisp through your stencil. But I like that, especially with stencils like this that have swirly bits. It just makes my little heart so happy. Now I did trim down my white cardstock just a little bit so that I could mat it on some black cardstock, and then I also matted my photo on some black cardstock. I just love the way a black and white and rainbow layout looks. It makes me happy. It just gives me a big, deep joy. So I take my slimline papers and I trim them down so that I am creating 1/2-inch strips. Now this would be perfect to do if you kept border strips or if you had lots of scraps, but you guys, scraps stress me out. I don't keep these little bits. They go right in the bin, and you know, sometimes when you want to create a layout that you're thinking about and it has scrappy size pieces in it, you just gotta make your own, and that is fine. So I just take some adhesive and I line these guys up. I'm kind of coordinating the colors that I cut out of the slimline paper pack to the colors that are in my Velveteen Glaze rainbow. Now they aren't exactly a perfect match, but they are close enough that they coordinate well enough and you can see what I'm doing. Now I do cover up about half of the stenciling, and that might be making some of you gasp in horror, but I'm okay with it. You could have left off these scraps as well and just used the rainbow stenciled area as your decorative element, but I like what the strips add to it. I think it just adds a little bit more excitement. And then I realized that the packaging, and you guys, I don't use packaging. Like you guys know, packaging drives me insane, and I try to use as little packaging as possible, because packaging takes up space. It takes up space where you could be having more supplies, and more supplies are better than more packaging. But the rainbow coordinated and matched the rainbow that I created over here on the left hand side. So I just decided to trim it down and place it on the right hand side. Now this is the grateful stamp. It says there's always something to be grateful for, and I've used this before on a page. I went a little twang there. I've used this before on a page, but I don't think that this kind of sentiment and this kind of stamp is something that you really have to worry about that you're using a whole lot. Like, nobody's going to be like, oh my goodness, Sandy, you used this stamp back in the, I don't know, March 2020. How dare you use it again in August 2020. Like, nobody's going to do that. And if they're looking at your albums that hard, wow, more power to them, because they must be thinking your albums are the stuff and they want to remember every single detail. So I do ultimately move it from this space. I did grab the block stamp set, and I'm spelling out the word summer, and I thought I was going to want it to go down the line right here. I didn't really like it. And then there's my, dirty little scrapbooking secret. My stamps aren't completely clean. You can definitely see it with that M there, so sorry. Just clean your stamps. But I didn't like it. I liked the sentiment that says there's always something to be grateful for, but I really didn't like the summer over there. So I decided to move it. I decided to put this back over here, and then I'm going to put summer down here, and I figure I'll just grab another stamp set or letter stickers or something to finish the title, because it's going to be called Summer Nights. I even thought about bringing this over here, because basically, I do like things touching, but I did create two distinctive spots of color, so I'm okay with it. I do grab the large Misty this time to spell out the word summer, and I am using my Raven detail ink. Again, it's the same ink that I used to stamp the grateful sentiment, and I'm just making sure to take the time to line up my letters so that they aren't wonky or anything like that. Now, I could have gone with some wonky letters, and that might have even been cute, but at the time I was not thinking I wanted wonky letters. I was thinking I want straight letters. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up the letters and stamp them down with the Misty. And of course, the beautiful thing about having a stamp positioner tool is that if you stamp it once and it doesn't give you a perfect stamp, you can keep stamping in the same exact spot until it does give you the perfect stamp. And that just makes it so much easier. And if you are a scrapbooker that likes to stamp, I highly recommend the Memory Misty, because that way you don't have to worry about pre-stamping everything. You can stamp at the end like I am. Now, I decided I was just going to use my own handwriting and write in cursive Summer Nights. But you know, sometimes when I'm writing, my hand just does extra loops or does funky little things, and it looked funky. So I grabbed a sand eraser and just erased it away, so that I could rewrite the word knights. And that is going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll have links to everything listed down below in the description so you can check it out. Go ahead, subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the bell, that'll get you notifications every time a video goes live on this channel. And I will see you again real soon for another video.